Hey YouTubers, it's Vic. Hey, I want to talk to you guys about Ephesians 6. You know, it starts in about verse 13, where it talks about being able to stand in the evil day. And it goes through the list, talking about stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and the breastplate of righteousness, which we know is the righteousness of Christ. Feet shod in the preparation of the gospel of peace. But what I really want to talk about is verse 16 out of Ephesians 6. And let me just quote it. It says, "And above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the enemy." Okay, when he's listing the armor of God, in verse 16, Father makes a point to say, above all, taking the shield of faith. So that's the point of my video today, is walking in faith, praying in faith, believing in God that He will do what He says He will do. You know, these scriptures in Ephesians 6, they're talking about during the evil day, which I think we could all agree we're living in. And I just find it interesting that, you know, verse 16, he points out, you know, above all, taking the shield of faith. You know, after the whole H1N1, H5N1 thing that went down, and I wasn't making videos then, as a matter of fact, this is my first video. But after that, you know, all came out, and everyone in the Patriot movement and all the truthers were, you know, spazzing out about it. And so, like I always do, I just took it in my prayer closet. And, you know, I've been studying about the elite and researching all this stuff for over a decade, and mainly my place in the battle is on my knees and in my prayer closet. So anytime anything comes up, I take it to my prayer closet. I pray about it. And you know, a lot of times it's the same prayer, just a different version, you know, directed at whatever that circumstance is. But mainly what I pray is I ask God, you know, that if these elite exist and if these men are real, that God would search their hearts and their minds, and that if He would find that they're purposing evil against us, that He would thwart their plans, that if they're plotting and scheming against us to do whatever the situation is, that if it be in God's will and in God's way, that He would thwart their evil schemes and plots and plans. So that's pretty much my place in the battle against these people. So, yeah, after the H1N1 whole thing came about, and, you know, I'm watching on news, and, you know, it was just like raging in Mexico and heading up for the United States, and people were freaking out, and, you know, like 2 days later, you have the head of the CDC and, oh, who was it? Some other person was standing there with them, and they're on TV of CNN or one of those news channels, mainstream media. But anyways, you know, it wasn't breaking out in the United States like they had planned and like they thought. I'll say like they thought. It anticipated it was going to. And as I watched these two women standing there giving their little television interview, you know, joy just poured out of my heart, because I was like, I knew I'd been praying about it. I knew I wasn't alone, that there are other people in the battle who, you know, fight alongside of me. I may not know them, they may be on complete opposite end of the earth, but I know there are others out there. So I was just joyful, and I was like, right on, you know, God has thwarted this scheme. And so then, of course, I came to my YouTube community and looked for videos, because, of course, you're going to want to give God the praise and glory, right? Well, I didn't find any. And the next day I didn't find any. And the next day I didn't find any. So, yeah, that was pretty sad. I found a lot of infighting, Christians eating Christians up, and picking over them and, condemning them and critiquing them and a lot of stuff like that. But nobody giving God the glory. Why didn't God get the glory? I wasn't able to make videos at that time. I didn't have the technology or the resources, or that would have been absolutely the first video I would have put up. So, in retrospect, I want to give God the glory right now for that, because that was God, people. That was God. He thwarted their plans. And if you're a truther, a patriot, a Christian, in the circle I'm in, and under the call I'm under, get in the battle. And, don't be afraid for people to say, look, you can write me off as the, rantings of a lunatic old woman. I don't really even care. I know what happened. It was God. It was fervent prayer. It was in God's will. It was in God's way. So God moved. And He's doing this a lot, and really all the time. And He's not getting His honor, and He's not getting His glory, and He's not getting His praise. So, yeah, this is kind of from my heart to His, and I just want to tell Him and you guys that that was God, people. That's the battle we're in. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. We wrestle against powers, principalities, Satan and his forces. We fight in the supernatural realm. And I just think that it's interesting in Ephesians 6 when he lays out the total armor of God, everything we need to wage warfare against Satan and his minions. In verse 16 of Ephesians chapter 6, he says, above all, the shield of faith. If you believe it, and it's in His will, you ask for it, He'll do it, people. You gotta have faith. And don't forget, after He moves, give Him His glory. Give Him His honor. It ain't about you. It's not about your ministry. It's not about anybody, any of us. It's about Him. Right on? It's about Him. It's all about Him. God is great. God is good. God is righteous. He's the beginning and the end. He's everything. He deserves all honor and praise. Not us. God. So I just want to encourage you to get in the battle. Get in your prayer closet. Get on your knees. Ask God into these situations.